is the network service of the NTA.
Education is better than silver and gold. Education is better than silver and gold. Education is better than silver and gold. Educate your children now. Parents, educate your children now.
I know the school. Don't worry.
Yes.
It's in the same village as mine.
Exactly. You know, growing up at the assembly ground, we'll be asked to sing this song to encourage us to know that education is better than silver and gold.
And we sang it so passionately, like.
Well, excuse my voice because I don't think I have the singing voice.
But mine, so go ahead.
The impact of education. I came across a quote by Benjamin Franklin, and he said, an investment in education pays the best interest.
Are you telling me?
What can beat that?
Are you telling me? I always tell my children that my parents made efforts, beating me, scolding me, pampering me, minus the school fees,
yes.
You know, to ensure that I get education, and I got it. At the end of the day, they are not here today. Who is the beneficiary? It's me.
Exactly.
Whatever the certificate does, it's me gaining from it. They are, even if it were alive, it's still me, you know, getting it. So it's always best if you pay attention. But what happens when someone has the zeal, you know, pays the attention, and the money is not there? That's where scholarship comes in.
Exactly.
It's amazing that a lot of people, from our ancestors, our grandparents, our parents, told us so much about scholarship, how much they were aided to go to school. My mother went to a school from beginning to the end. She was trained by the British nun free of charge. Today, people have zeal, people have capacity. Are they still getting the same scholarship? I don't know. Whatever happened to the bursary system too? I happen to have heard about it. But Aisha, did you ever get bursary when you were in school?
No, not really. I don't think I've gotten that.
Okay, I spent 4 years in school. I was supposed to spend 4 years. I spent 5, including strike. And for the 5 years, I never got bursary.
The program is interactive. Our lines will be open. You can send in your messages. Today's message is on impact of scholarship and bursary on education system in Nigeria. Do send in. Have you ever enjoyed bursary or scholarship in your state? Let us know. And then, to set the program proper, here is a backgrounder by Suleiman Babajia.
There are thousands of indigent students pursuing undergraduate and graduate degrees in foreign countries under scholarship schemes requiring the federal and state governments to settle their upkeep and tuition. While bursary and scholarships are an integral part of the educational system of many countries all over the world, over the last 10 years, most states in Nigeria have tactically withdrawn from bursary payments, citing serious financial threats, while also scaling down on the number of beneficiaries of foreign and local scholarships.
We now have more institutions in the education sector than we used to have, and therefore facilities are supposed to have also, increased, and also resources are also to have increased. And somebody will tell you, well, these resources are not there, but the resources have actually, as I said, more than 5 times, doubled. I don't think, not any particular executive of any state should complain that the resources are not there. If they spend, if they think that education is very important, they could actually deploy this money to education. If we do not actually place education at the highest pedestal in terms of policy making and implementation in this country, forget it. We don't, even the younger generations coming, do not have hope.
In the last 7 years, Imo State government says it has invested so much on free education for its indigents from primary to tertiary institutions, to the point that it is of no use dabbling into bursary payment and scholarship programs.
There's no country that is relevant in terms of global affairs today that is not at the same time a country whose population are highly literate and skillful. We cannot compromise on that. Even in advanced countries where they have made provisions for the various levels of education, they have funds for scholarship. The facilities need to be there in the first instance. Are you going to sponsor children who will go and be sitting on stones or ordinary floor to receive education? No. If he's saying that he has already provided buildings, classrooms, hostels, accommodation, and so on, those are very important components of the provisions needed in the school. So it's not a sound argument, as far as I'm concerned, that these provisions have been made, and therefore he doesn't have adequate resources again to deploy to scholarship sector. It's a question of management and poor articulation of the priorities of the state.
When indigent students are lucky to be awarded scholarships, the social intervention scheme becomes not just an avenue to alleviate their circumstances, but also serves as a lifeline to realize their educational dreams. In the same vein, bursary payments have a way of making light the burden of schooling in an environment where quality education is not deemed a social service, but one that has to be paid for. The gradual disappearance of both from the country's education sector has seriously impeded academic, social, and emotional welfare of students whose major means of sustenance comes from these allowance from the concerned authorities.
In the past, students who are qualified, who deserved to be sponsored, actually got the sponsorship. It was because there was very prudent management. The issue of nepotism was not there. The management of the school never, for any reason, tampered with what was due to us. We got it. We got school uniforms. We got books. So why is it that that kind of level of encouragement for students who want to actually have sound education, why is it that we're not having it?
How can scholarship schemes specifically be revised so that they are more effective and transparent? A mutual, healthy, and more open communication channel must be established between the Federal Scholarship Board and the Ministry of Education for these scholarship schemes to actually add to national development. The federal and state governments must also ensure that scholars who have graduated are considered for roles in Nigeria in order to checkmate brain drain.
All right, I was chatting with someone and the person said I should not talk anymore because I actually enjoy scholarship. I said, from where? He says your parents paid your school fees, gave you snacks, gave you school uniform, gave you everything. That's scholarship. And I got confused. Was that supposed to be a responsibility? I was in heaven minding my business. They asked me to come. Well,
You sounded just like my sister now.
that's how it is. But then, speaking of that, I sometimes wonder whether we truly understand the place, the importance of scholarship and bursary, for the educational system. And Thelma Obaze did a good one. She tried to answer these questions with the next feature. Let's see it.
I did not enjoy scholarship, though I was given the scholarship, but I missed out on it.
I just came across it online and I applied. with my transcripts, master's in public health while I was still serving, but it was a partial scholarship. So the bills I need to pay was much more than what I anticipated for, so I had to let it go.
Scholarships in form of financial awards for students based on their academic or sporting excellence can be partial or full.
The founding fathers of this country made sure that scholarships then were really available to any student who was brilliant enough to pass his examinations. I went to university with a state scholarship. It was such that once you make your papers, the state will just give you a paper, a promissory note to the university that this is our indigent, who will sponsor him.
Bursaries, on the other hand, are financial awards granted to students on the basis of their financial needs. One wonders, are bursaries still provided for indigent students?
There are a lot of brilliant indigent students. Most state governments have stopped giving scholarships, or if they do, it's not streamlined. It's not, some will send students to universities, refuse to pay. So most universities now don't accept promissory notes, they accept money. And that's why some state governments don't even attempt to give scholarships.
When I was doing my ND program, the state governor then gave us a bursary of, was it 2,000 or so then. A lot of things has been politicized. The way it functions these days, I can't really understand, because I could hear of several of our fathers who went to school far back then. They were given scholarships, studied abroad, and several other benefits they enjoyed then. But nowadays, some of them who are in the position facing most of their people that are close to them, and therefore leaving people who are really in need of this scholarship.
In a keenly competitive world such that ours has become, valuable and impactful education is a vibrant tool for survival and for success. And when scholarships and bursaries are provided, they can fast-track the process.
Most of us, people ahead of me, those who are in position of authority now, enjoyed scholarship. They enjoy so good. In some states, or in most parts of Nigeria then, apart from the local scholarships, once you are able to achieve your WAEC then, or WASC, you get a foreign scholarship. It wasn't only local. The scholarship was, I remembered in my state, kids were being sent out then in batches to go and study different branches of knowledge: medicine, pharmacy, engineering.
Now more than ever before, students need to be more diligent about positive strategies that can impact their educational outcomes.
For a local scholarship to study in a Nigerian university, it is what a politician can afford to give 100 or 200 scholarships every year. But you see, if nobody accosts him, if the youth don't go to him, if he is not enlightened to know that this is one of the most important things he can do to his constituency, he will not do it.
When we identify processes that make great impact, especially in the educational sector, we must be responsive to the needs of those who can benefit. That way, we continue a cycle of accountability and sustained development.
We need to train our children, encourage our children, especially those that have the zeal to study. We need to put in something for them in order to ensure that they go further. And
you know,
yes,
what I don't understand is in Nigeria, we must not, I know some individuals are really trying,
yes,
it must not be the place of government to, give out these things. There are individuals who are busy buying very big cars, people who are busy taking catalogs of what their cars and houses look like. We see it every day.
yes.
The cost of one Ferrari, the cost of one G-Wagon can actually train 2 medical doctors or more, if you ask me.
Exactly.
From beginning to the end. And you would have done yourself bigger favor, both in the eye of man and the eye of God.
Exactly.
That's my take.
And the nation at large included, because it's like the code I said earlier. When you invest in education, in knowledge, the interest is powerful.
And those people will ever live to protect you.
Exactly.
Because one person you train off the streets, you've taken one criminal or would-be criminal off the streets.
Not even one, it may be many, because you don't know what that person can also
Carry
train.
along, definitely.
Well, the still focus is on impact of scholarship and bursary, and NTA Ebonyi put together this report.
Scholarship is a grant given to a student by either an individual, corporate bodies, or government to enable the beneficiary accomplish his or her academic goals. Usually based on exceptional academic performance or possession of other unique qualities as expected by the benefactor from the beneficiary, scholarship as a kind gesture was first recorded in the popular Harvard University, United States of America in the year 1643 by a widow of a one-time Lord Mayor of London, Anne Radcliffe Morrison, who donated £100 to offset some students' debts. Other non-governmental organizations, as well as missionaries, also joined in that humanitarian service, extending hands to educational backward countries of the world. In Ebonyi State, many people who showcased exceptional brilliance in academics enjoyed this gesture that propelled them to their different positions in their endeavors. Professor Henry Orochukwu is one of them.
I enjoyed the community scholarship. I've enjoyed a federal government scholarship when I was in the university as the best NTA medical student in 1989 at the University of Port Harcourt. I enjoyed the federal government scholarship. And then I enjoyed state scholarship from the Ebonyi state government to study overseas for my postgraduate studies. And in all this, it is encouraging performance.
The worrisome situation is that this all-important assistance, which was part of government responsibilities as often captured in the budget, is gradually being overlooked by government at all levels, thereby shifting the burden to individuals, non-governmental organizations, and corporate bodies who can only do but a little.
We're in a society where we know what the indigenous students are passing through. Some had to do all manner of menial job to keep them in school. Many feel well that education is power, education is key. And so we have to do everything we can to assist the society. If you go to universities now, even school, you can see a lot of students that have owed up to 3 years of school fees, you know, and it's somehow, it's things that you cannot imagine the effect. Even psychologically, the students will be very down.
What are those benefits of scholarship and bursary awards to students who are also future leaders?
One intelligent person that is developed can bring billions of dollars into this country. One single invention that can change the world can improve the economy of the local environment by 200 million times.
Some of them are very productive. You give them bursary, it will help them to even shelve some of the tendencies of the youth these days, like engaging in all manner of things, cultism, social vices, and all that. It will make them be more responsible. They will feel being part of the system, being part of the government, and it will make them to be focused. They will make them to even have to collaborate with the government.
I'm a beneficiary of this very wonderful organization here.
It is a passionate call on government at all levels to reprioritize and revive bursary and scholarship scheme, especially for indigenous students, considering its positive multiplier effects.
All right, so thank you, NTA Ebonyi, for that package. And Mr. Ben from there actually said it all, just what I thought about and we talked about earlier.
Yes.
You know, he's one of the individuals that actually is investing in the youth by way of education, and I thank him. I hope many other people will cue in that direction. All right, we have some messages. Let's quickly take one before we go on a break. We in Taraba State have never seen or heard of any scholarship given to students of any kind by any type of government. Text by Ahmed Jalingo, Taraba State. The emphasis on any student, any scholarship, any type of government.
No, that's is he really accurate?
And he boldly wrote here, the Taraba State is in capital letters.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm not saying more than that. Let's just take a break.
Well, meanwhile, Ahmed from Taraba is saying they have never enjoyed any scholarship from any government. We're going to Ogun State, Abeokuta, to be precise, to see what is the impact of scholarship and bursary on their education system.
Bursary and scholarship award schemes are engaged in by public-spirited individuals, government and non-governmental organizations with a view to encouraging more young people in academic pursuit, elevate financial burdens on the masses, and sustaining educational growth and development in the society.
We've had a couple of scholarships. You know, we have the Commonwealth Scholarship, which students will go for interview, and then they go to some of these Commonwealth countries. We have scholarships by other bodies, maybe individuals, philanthropies, corporate bodies. You know, we have Shell Scholarship, we have a scholarship by some foundations and so on. So students that have benefited from these scholarships, it has helped them to actually to remain in school, and then because all those scholarships, they have their own eligibility criteria that has to be met. One way or the other, it has contributed to making students able to achieve their, their dreams. So through that type of support.
Agitations by students on decline of scholarship and bursary awards to students of various categories in institutions of higher learning are founded on certain factors.
To me, it's not really real in Moshood Polytechnic, because anytime they are sending the link to us on group, I notice the indigene, they check the link and they are not getting back to us. Even the scholarship in Moshood Polytechnic, I'm not sure about it because I've not benefited one and I've not seen a student.
I believe if the government is getting in contact directly to the student union government or the student representative council on that matter of bursary, I think the right channel to the students and the right way of how to register and how to get bursary will meet them on time and legitimately yet. Not that you go through someone, then the news will just be like, are they serious about this or they are just wasting our time? So I just believe the government should go directly to the student union government. Anything relating to the students, the government should go directly to the student union government or the SRC.
So I still believe the National Association of Ogun State Students should be carried along. They should be more involved because as it is now, the Naus Mapoli will actually listen to their national body more and they will comply than the management.
Recently, His Excellency gave a directive through the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology that the list of Ogun State indigents in the various tertiary institutions should be compiled, all right, for bursary awards. We have just concluded, we concluded our own some months ago, and we have turned in the list to the Ministry of Education. We have submitted to the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Professor Aribalu, and I'm sure that work is in progress to ensure that these bursary awards are made available to deserving students, particularly of Ogun State origin. And it's not limited to the tertiary institutions in Ogun State alone, it's all over the Federation.
People are not aware of some of these opportunities that are available. maybe information is what I would say is lacking. Apart from scholarships locally, there are scholarships that are available internationally.
More recently, concerted efforts have been made by government to alleviate the suffering of students in their academic pursuit in Ogun State. How successful this will be, only time will tell.
All right, it's unfortunate. Sometimes we hope, and at the end of the day, we don't quite get it. But a lot has been going on behind the camera, even while we watch that. And one of them is that a guest just joined us. And behind camera, he's been trying to educate us on a few things. I will make all of that public now. But first, let me introduce my guest, and that is a friend of the house, Dr. Sam Amadi. At the moment, I know you're Associate Professor of Law in Bayes University. And I've known you with a whole lot of portfolios, but let me quickly take the much I can remember. That's Executive Chairman, NEC, that's the Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission. And I know at the moment I saw you somewhere speaking on a particular thing. I looked at the caption. I saw Chairman, Nigerian Infrastructural Development Association. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay, very correct. Very soon I'll also give you another title, friend of Weekend Deal House of NTA. Okay.
I'll accept that one joyfully.
Okay, so but basically today we want to look at you from the angle of education as an educationist. Behind camera, I mentioned earlier, you were trying to educate us on the difference between scholarship and bursary. Would you want to speak on that?
Oh, sure. Well, first, like I said off camera, oftentimes in Nigeria, bursary has been given to students, basically everybody. So some states, when I was in university, then in Calabar, University of Calabar, some states like River State, some states give bursary to their students. So what that means is that they can then 5,000. So every student who is from River State, for example, receives 5,000. So it's typical like democracy dividend. Well, you know, they were inefficient, just politically, of course. But usually scholarship is...
We can call it political palliative.
Palliative, okay. Exactly, like a palliative. So, okay, our students, we're a good government, we want to make everybody smile and happy. We'll give bursary. Maybe it can translate to political gain, votes. People will say, oh, governor gave us 5,000. Students use it to eat. Some of them will increase their alcohol consumption. Maybe
alcohol consumption?
Of course, some buy beer, some drink Fanta, some drink food. Basically, it's going to be wasted spending because some people who get that bursary don't need it. Some of them, their parents are able to pay. But scholarship is targeted 2 ways. One is what we call merit-based. Merit-based is maybe you dedicate a scholarship. I'll give you an example for young women who are going to doing engineering. So you said, okay, this scholarship, they do proposal. They apply for it. So you look at their academic performance throughout the year and say, okay, these are the guys who merit that scholarship based on capability, based on competency you're looking for. The other one is what we call need-based. Need-based means you say, okay, there are people who want to go to school, but they can't afford it. So let's look at needs. And that means you have data. Parents earning, maybe categories of people who are civil servants or farmers or poor people, however you describe them. So those who are applying, those who are going to give that scholarship are targeting those people who have needs. That's called need-based. So a scholarship is either merit-based, everyone applies. If you have the best proposal, the best qualification, you win it. So it's a way of incentivizing efficiency, intelligence, application, people hard work. You know, we want to how people compete for the best prizes. The other one targets people who are not able to go to school. So you give them scholarship to help poor parents send their kids. Of course, we know that education of everybody is good for the public good.
Exactly.
So education is a public good. If people are educated, like places like India, where almost everybody at the bottom has a graduate, is a graduate. They may be doing Keke Marwa, but it helps that they understand the language, they can read and write, they understand government policy. So basically, broad education is good, and so that's what merit-based scholarship targets. But the way we did bursary, it's not even regular, it's not systematic. So once in a while, a governor comes and maybe they have some small money to throw around. That's okay, fine.
Let's buy a recharge card.
Let's just give 2,000, 5,000. So everybody say, oh, governor gave everybody for 5,000, all the students. Maybe the whole population of the students they have is more than, let's say, 2,000 times 5,000 naira. So that's not really the way scholarship. When I was a student at University of Calabar, I didn't have any scholarship, like I said.
Did you have bursary?
There was no bursary. Imo didn't give bursary. I'm not even sure they have ever given it. But apart from that, I'm not begrudging them because maybe they don't need to give bursary, you know. But essentially, when I went to Harvard for my master's and PhD, I got a lot of scholarship. And so those scholarships are merit-based. So I applied to a fellowship. Let me give you an example. Maybe a family, a rich, let's say Dangote, can institute a fellowship for people who want to study human rights or intellectual property in a particular place. So when you get admitted, they tell you these are open. You send in your proposal. They look at your profile, look at your background. So if it's need-based, oh, he's come from a third world country. He comes from a place where they don't have too much money. Want to encourage people from Nigeria to come and study abroad. So they look at all of it, you merit it on need. If it's based on performance, where do you work? Oh, female journalists. For example, at Kennedy School, where I had my master's in public policy, they had a lot of fellowship for female journalists from developing countries. Because the idea is to encourage women into journalism. And those women who are already there to help them gain critical skill. So they structured this scholarship, these awards in a way that fellowships, in a way that people are able to attract it in a systematic way. So that's the difference. And I got a lot of those scholarships.
Okay, you were going to say something.
Yes, earlier on you talked about the government coming to give bursary to students, maybe recharge card money and all that. And some people are of the opinion that most state governments have security votes. And these security votes are mostly reactive. But can we put education vote also, like, so that it can be proactive in the society? Because when you invest in education, it's
helping security as well.
Exactly. How can we do that? How can we achieve that?
Exactly. Now think about security vote. What security? Today we talk about human security. We know that poverty fits into the insecurity. We know that lack of education fits into it. So a governor who has a security vote should also see education as a security sector. Because if you are helping to take people away from illiteracy, from poverty, from lack of education, you are also helping security. That's one. Number two is that we need the states to have education intervention funds, not focus on infrastructure. Let's forget the one for building classrooms, those ones you have to do. But this is soft money. Looking at, for example, some states may need more women in, let's say, engineering and sciences. They may even have women other things. So they can institute a scholarship right from primary school to help the smartest people. A society must have a way to get the smart people move faster. And then help those who are bottom up to come up. So those fast people, you have to give them incentive, you have to provide funding. In fact, it's not even that some of them, it's not because they don't have the money. The competition, the honor of winning state prize, that you won a state. For example, most of our leaders got what they call federal scholarship in the 1960s. Some of my uncle who went to UI, later went abroad, they went on what they call federal scholarships, regional scholarship. So the regions then, we are providing scholarship for their best students. If you go into Barawa College, you see the best students get scholarship. You go to maybe King's College, best students get scholarship. If you go to CIC, CKC, Sheraton, all those top schools, they select best students and give them scholarship in a way of promoting excellence. So I agree with you that apart from using part of the security vote, because that's really what security is all about, they can also create that kind of fund. We are targeted to the peculiarity of the state. It might be women, it might be men. It might be to improve science education, which is really where the world is going. I want to, from primary school, to help young people get into STEM, science, technology, mathematics. Because when they start early, then you have the new researchers, innovators, and inventors
coming
of
up
the future.
Early. Okay, we're going to take a break, but let's quickly link it up here because somebody says, yeah, Ismaila from Kwara State, throughout my NCE and BA days, I did not get a kobo from my government, and every year they budget money for students. That's from Kwara State. And moving on, another person wrote in from Niger State. He said, good morning, I am from Niger State. Students help share with the top policies and my elites in the states. Okay, help me share this with the elites, government in my states. I have never seen any poor man benefit from scholarship for schooling. That's from Niger State. And I think I want to quickly touch Niger State. Now, let's take a feature coming from NTA MENA and find out if the writer who didn't put his name is saying what NTA MENA, packaged.
Niger State Scholarship Board was established in 1976 with the aim of disbursement of grants to all indigenous students.
I am one of those who benefited 100% scholarship and bursary in my educational life. When I was in the primary school, no kobo was paid, uniforms were given to me, feeding, breakfast, lunch, and then we'll go back home and eat. You can imagine, I was not even in the boarding house, yet we were fed. Northern Principles kind of a school. Therefore, I believe me, really enjoyed. Later, I proceeded to College of Education Sokoto, where I was also given 100% bursary because we were really supported. Our parents never knew what was school fees then. So government did almost everything for us.
Apart from the government scholarship schemes, individuals, parastatals, and institutions also offer scholarships to deserving and excellent students.
Well, I'm one of the beneficiaries of NTA Expo Scholarship Award. I won an award during NTA Expo, which I was opportunity to become second position nationwide through the sponsor of NTA. So I was given a scholarship by the Minister of Education, Professor Rukaya, to study in any of the university home and abroad. So I was able to be admitted in Federal University of Technology, Mina. I did my master program there, and it was well sponsored by the Minister of Education through NTA Expo program.
However, the historic educational feat suffered a dramatic twist lately when the students no longer feel the impact of bursary and scholarships.
In fact, about the scholarships, we face a lot of challenges. It is because of the challenges we are facing, majority of the students are not receiving the scholarships. Even when the government bring the money, they will say yes, they will disburse the money to the student. But later on, no student will say he received the alert. So because of this, because we are the student representatives, that is why we try our best. We meet them, discuss with them that, please, since they say they have disbursed, they have distributed the money, and students are still complaining. Nobody is coming to our office saying that, yes, he received the money, but complaining that we don't see anything.
I'm in 200 level. I applied since 2018, and up to date, I've never achieved anything from them.
I don't know, there are people that they benefit, but as for me, I didn't benefit, and I apply through net.
Students' bursary and scholarship are meant to augment and support finances of parents and their wards. This hitherto hit a brick wall.
We have a scholarship board, and we also have scholarship policy in Niger State. The policy is one for students within the country and for students going out of the country. And we identify certain categories of students. One, those who are in their final year that are rounding up. We directed the scholarship board to take care of those students. Then the next trend was that going by the large number of students waiting to get this bursary, we now decided that henceforth when payments are to be made, they should be based on courses and level.
As we pray for a vibrant Nigeria, let us join the government and stakeholders to bring back the lost glory of bursary and scholarship.
Well, thank you very much. Good one from Niger State there. I hope the message sender that didn't send his name had his answers there. Well, we still have our guest in the house, person of Dr. Sam Amadi. He's an associate professor, Low Base University, executive chairman, former executive chairman, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. Well, while this report was playing on, I tried to ask you a question. In the system, when we look at, let's take Malaysia, for example, because it's like a baby sister country. We got independence almost the same time and all that. When you look at their education system, the first 2 children of every family that is registered gets scholarship from nursery to secondary. When it gets to the tertiary, it's left for the parents to take over, which gives the parent ample time to prepare for the tertiary education. Is it that we cannot achieve that kind of system in Nigeria, or what are we doing wrong?
We can, but first start with data. First, we talk about every first child. So the system has a way of capturing births. We ought to have that, but we're not good at data. If you look at people who are giving birth to FCT maybe today, nobody will tell you in one place and pick the number and says, today, Sunday the 7th or so, 2021, 6 children were delivered in FCT or in AMAC, whatever it is, okay? We don't have data. We're not data people, so you have to have data so that people don't cheat the system. So that those who are even unmarried will claim they have 2 children. Okay, so data is important, and Malaysia is ahead in that curve. 2 is strategic policy. What do you want to achieve? Like, for example, the Kwara PAMSEC said on the report that they look at those who are in final year and give them money. What's that? Is it for those who need money, those who are in final year because they can't pay their school fees? So Malaysia government says, okay, fine, first 2 children at primary basic education. Now we talk about basic education in Nigeria to be free. To be really free, it has to be truly free, means that somebody is going to be paying for that education. If it's free, it might be like across Nigeria, even in the southeast, everywhere. You see some schools, public schools, totally abandoned. Free education, no teachers, no infrastructure, because you're not paying. Instead of saying it's free, say government pays for it. So government puts in the money, pay for those 2 children. If you have 4 children, you pay for the next 4, okay? So that is sensible. What we are missing in this country is a strategic way of planning for the future, human resources. What do we want to address? We want to address poverty. People are suffering, they can't go to school. Yes. Then you provide for that and say, who are those people who need that support? So you're able to have a data of poverty. You're able to know the data of those who are employed, those who are middle class. So that today, for example, in the US now, they're going to give tax refund, they're going to give stimulus. They know who is going to receive what, because they have said those who earn between X to X would be entitled to receive this amount of money.
I don't mean to cut you really, but now you're talking about tax. I want to find out, we have petroleum tax fund, we have all those tax. Can we also have education tax fund?
We do. But the point is that, you see, the education tax ETF is administered by, it's part of what PTF does, and of course UBEC and others. Now, education tax force, the tax has a fund, which means companies are deducted some amount of money for education. But look at what happened. Most often is focused on infrastructure, what government should do and what commercial people should do. Again, you need to have a policy of education pricing. There's no point saying education is free, like universities, people are paying 45,000 and they have a phone of 200,000. Let the schools be able to charge those who can pay well. Then scholarship and bursary and grants in the US elsewhere have what they call grant. You pay, but some are even loans, students' loan you pay. They should be structured to enable those who can pay access. So there's no point saying education is free. University are paying 20,000 in the university, and then that place is collapsed. Then it's ETF that should be building school hall. So what I'm saying is that the money for education tax should go into those strategic support. So scholarship for the brightest guys, scholarship and grant for those who are poor, even loan for those who access those loans, and they have a commitment to work and repay. So in the US, for example, part of the campaign in the US is the promise to cancel Sanda got support by saying, I'm going to cancel students' loan, because students are overwhelmed by loans. Students go to school in America. Those of us who are foreigners got scholarship. But in America, people take loan, go to school, repay those loans to government. So we should be able to structure in a sensible way, a way that addresses 2 things. One, poverty. There are people who need to go to school, they can't go to school. But we're not going to ask people to be collecting free money from government and use their own money to be buying cell phones. That's irresponsible. So government should make sure that its money goes to those who need it.
Really need it.
And those who are smart enough that you want to propel. Because there are 2 ways to go. Everybody go to school, but let's single out the smartest guys and give them opportunity to go far.
All right, let's see what the audience are writing. And scholarship should be given more attention and should be followed with too much agility in this country, simply because it will help us build our nation. It is said that education is key, but corruption has changed the padlock. Wow, okay, the padlock. It is only education that can retrieve and change the padlock. That's from Ahmed Hamza. And he says, good morning to us all. And we quickly take another one. He says, all right, more messages coming in. Good morning, Weekend Deal. Please, there is nothing like Edo State bursary in Uniben. Oh, we added several O's. Okay. No bursary whatsoever, and it is sad. My take is on the security of the nation. I saw the reports on Enugu and Ibadan. Can the same be said of other places, especially in the northern states? All right, that's not part of the bursary, but we already had that taken. Let's take this last one. I am Promise, and I am from Ebonyi State, but I reside in Lagos. I want to apply for scholarship to study in any part of Nigeria. I need help, please. I don't have sponsor. Now, this kind of a person, what would be your advice, how to go about it?
Two things. I mean, first is Ebonyi is one of the educational less advantage in a sense, so they should be
less advantage or more
in a sense, less in a sense, because of if you look at the number of people who are getting educated and the number of people who in the southeast relatively. Then the Ebonyi State government under Sam Egu had a very liberal scholarship. So maybe this new government should find a way to utilize those scholarships. They are doing a lot of work, infrastructure, building bridges. But look, human development is critical. And that's really what Bill Gates was telling us, that we should invest as much in human infrastructure, because as oil is drying, the new wealth to come from human beings who will create wealth through technology, innovation. So I think a second issue is philanthropy. In the world, private people put a lot of money for education, but in Nigeria, they don't put a lot of money for education. They support government. If the governor's wife is doing book launch, they give 20 million. But look, a lot of, even 100 million endowment in a place like Ebonyi can take, how much do you pay in school? So you can see that over, in 6 years, over 5,000 people would have been graduates. So I think the private people who have money should consider putting more money. Scholarship may not give political mileage, because it's not like there'll be no NTA good camera covering, but it gives more value for society than all those investments.
All right, there's a message here from Medugri. It says, I want to commend the governor of Borno State for his resilience and support for education industry. We have over 2,000 Borno indigenes studying different disciplines overseas. Wow. That's commendable.
Even
and
Kano,
all
under
are sponsored by His Excellency. That's the governor. If all governors in this country, wow, I feel touched, will be like the governor of Borno State, I think Nigeria will be a paradise on earth from Madam Shalangwa.
That's a nice one from Maiduguri.
That's the only positive one we had to do.
Exactly. And actually, I want to still talk on the scholarship abroad and in here. But before that, given that this person from Maiduguri talked about Maiduguri, let's go over to Maiduguri and see what they have on this for us.
Borno State Scholarship, and I was very grateful, I was very excited when I got the alert from the Borno State Scholarship Board.
An investment in knowledge has the best interest in all sectors of life, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today.
Over the years, access to education has become a panacea for sustainable development of any nation across the globe. As such, government in all levels has made it a topmost priority to encourage students to embrace education as the lead way for success.
Borno State government is still giving scholarships to its indigene. Even in the 2019-2020 academic session, the state government released 624 million naira for 23,770 students of 49 tertiary institutions.
In Borno State, the approach was the establishment of a scholarship board, which was saddled with the responsibility of conducting interviews to students for scholarship award and disbursement of allowances to all eligible candidates of Borno State indigene who gain admission into institutions of higher learning in the country and overseas as foreign sponsorship or allowances.
32,000 students have applied, but we have that 23,776 students benefited from that benevolence. And those ones rising from the national diploma who have benefited the sum of 15,000 naira each. Then the NCE program have benefited 20,000 naira each. Then the HND program have benefited 25,000 respectively. Then the degree students have benefited 50,000 for engineering students and other professional courses. Then the other courses have benefited 30,000 naira each. Then the master's program, those that are doing MSc, have benefited 100,000 naira each respectively. And those that are doing PGD, still in postgraduate program, have benefited 75,000 naira each.
Although the Borno State Scholarship Board is sustaining the momentum of supporting students, most especially with the renewed efforts of the state government towards addressing root causes of the decade-long insurgency bedeviling the area. As part of efforts to repositioning, the Scholarship Board upgrades its capacity to international standard, whereby students can apply online via the board's website.
The good news is that just to confirm, His Excellency Professor Babagana Omar Zulum is determined to be paying scholarship for the indigenous of the state, and then he is also even we are even working towards providing international scholarship, especially in the fields of medicine and then health-related issues.
As I'm talking to you now, for this current session that we are in, the benevolence of Professor Babagana Omar Zulum, the Executive of Governor of Borno State, have approved about 16 students whom from various schools across the world, and we have disbursed the sum of 78,324,648 to various students. This money varies depend on the school's fee.
In addition, the board has extended its services to both undergraduate and postgraduate students of colleges of education, polytechnic and university within and outside the country.
Recently, I registered, but the results hasn't been out yet. Like, I haven't received any alerts. I hope it comes soon.
I've benefited and I feel so excited about it. I live outside campus and I use the money for my transport and my feeding.
Education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world.
All right, it's still weekend, and we still have our associate professor seated. Let me quickly, take one or two more because the audience are very important to us. Good morning, great ladies, distinguished associate professor. This program is a great one. The role of education cannot be overemphasized. Academic scholarship is good, but if not well done, it is disastrous. Associate professor, you have said it all. Thank you very much. Good work from Engineer Plasma, Oka, Anambra State. And why is it that those who enjoy scholarship have made it difficult for us now? The procedure to access scholarship is, if there is any, is so stringent. You didn't write your name and where you're writing from, but then I'll still leave the ball for you.
Well, I think it's just like we say, our forefathers got the better deal and probably gave us a wrong one. But clearly, I think he's right in terms of the fact that it looks like most people I knew, most of the professors who were like the 60s, used scholarship. Government college, they were all scholarships. Chinua, all of them got scholarship. But now, maybe because they use the issue of economic crisis, secondly, there are more people, population has grown. So what they should do, like I said, is target it. For example, all these NCE, 20,000, 5,000. I don't believe in scholarship that's targeted to everybody. There's no reason why government should be sharing 20,000 to people whose parents are permanent secretary, whose parents are commissioners, senators. So what's the point? It's a waste of government money. Take that money, give 100,000 to a real person so that they cover real fees and real upkeep. Then those who are don't need it shouldn't have it. So my idea of scholarship is that it should be targeted to, if you don't need it, you don't get it. If it's based on poverty, if you're not poor, don't get it. If it's based on merit, if you're not the best or not the best, don't get it. So we should be efficient in doing what we want. What do you want to achieve? If you want to achieve more enrollment in school, then you give it out to those who couldn't be in school. If you want to achieve excellence, you want to get, like they say, they want some engineers, some maybe agriculturists, things like that, you target it to those, so you attract people into those professions and then help them. So what happens abroad is that you don't have money you share to everybody. Either you have scholarship, you have grant, which means people access it based on criteria. You have loan. Students take those loans from government.
Which you still pay back.
At maybe no interest, but you pay back. Those And by the way, loan is good because it teaches you responsibility. It means that government is helping you to get education and you have obligation to give back.
For you to give a loan, you really need to monitor it because
You
a
have
lot
to
of
have
times
a
here,
database.
you give that
Where
loan, when it's time to pay back, the person has changed his ID.
Because one, you don't have the address, you can't even track it to their parents, so that no the data say today, if you commit an offense, take for example electricity, if you owe you NEPA bill and you leave this house and go to, let's say, Sokoro to rent a new place, then you are dead. No tracing, no data. So we need, if you don't have a data, you can't do a loan-based system.
All right. Well, you know what? The moment we talk about scholarship, the first thing that comes to mind is overseas or abroad, because you feel like, nah, we cannot, I can't give scholarship to study here. Is it that our educational system is not that good, or is it that people prefer to go abroad to get educated than here? Because for me, I feel there are a lot of individuals that can actually contribute in the lives of people around them. You can single out one person. You don't have, it doesn't have to be, does it have to be the government that gives out scholarship, and must it be abroad?
No, it shouldn't be, first, it mustn't be abroad. You see, what's driving it, if you look at some of the scholarship by companies, I've seen some of them, they said Nigeria universities, they dedicate, like Share, for example, gives some scholarship to students on relevant area, chemical engineering and all that, geology, and they dedicated to some universities in Nigeria and abroad. I think what's happened that we have an Abroadian or oversean mentality.
Wow.
First, the government themselves found it much more politically, it gives them more political capital. If you said we send 200 people to Sudan, even Sudan,
Yes.
Yes, people, it looks like, oh, they sent them to Sudan, even, or Turkey, even far better. You can move to Malaysia, then maybe if you are good enough, London. So that's the mentality we have, that it has to be abroad. That's one. Secondly, also, people must consider that the quality of education in Nigeria is very poor. That's the truth about it. So some people who really want to take special skill, okay, for example, the amnesty program. If they were being sent to Nigeria, probably the militants will still be fighting. But it sounds prestigious and satisfying that they're taking them overseas. Okay? So that's what we've caused ourselves by the way we have run down our education system. It's no longer attractive. You want to go to scholarship and be trapped in ASU strike for 2 years.
All right, thank you so much,
Dr.
Dr. Sam Amadi. And I think I've just learned one English, actually two. That we should try to have less of a Abroadian, oversean mentality.
Exactly.
All right, and have a Homean mentality.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We've been speaking with the former executive chairman, Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission, and at the moment, the chairman, Nigerian Infrastructural Development Association, and also very importantly for our topic today, Associate Professor of Law in Bayes University, and that is Dr. Sam Egwu. Thank you very much.
Sam Amadi.
All right, so for those of us who still have less of a Abroadian mentality, oversean mentality, but more of the Homelian mentality.
Do we still have messages from our
I was just
viewers?
going through one from Mohammed Yusuf. He says, it is worrisome when government cannot pay attention to education in Nigeria. Some governors do not have checks and balanced policies that checkmate the process of bursary and disbursement to tertiary students, while corruption continues to have its way in the system. That's from Mohammed Yusuf. It is sad, Mohammed. And then somebody here says there should be a kind of competition so that more opportunities be given to students for scholarship. That's from Idiala here in Garki, Abuja. And my time is up. You know, if you were in school,
yes,
for those of us, our parents paid our school fees. Yes. And we have the Homean mentality.
Not
the Abroadian mentality. They'll ring the bell, bagam, 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 and we'll go like, now the day is over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening still across the sky. Boom.